Hello everyone, welcome to the daily newspaper analysis of the Shankar IAS Academy brought to you by the Civilspedia team. So the topics for discussion for today's date of 13 February and 2025 are given below. So here the first article, End Reactors Missiles India-France Ties from the Indian Express, would be mostly discussing about the basis of France on their physiography. Next is India's natural gas demand article from the Indian Express has basics understanding about the India's natural gas. The next article, ONGC-NTPC Deal from the Live Mint articles discusses about India's green energy sector and the capacity. And the final article, India's retail inflation from the Hindu, discusses about India's inflation process and their basics. So in light of these articles, let us see the discussions and the prelims practice question one by one. Now looking into the first news titled, India's retail inflation cools to 5-month low of 4.31% in January. So there has been rise in food prices, slows for the third time for the month to 6% in January. And also along with total inflation rate, the urban rate has been reduced in the consumers, which is the 4% target, but in rural consumers the rate has been increased to 4.6 percentage. So in light of this article, let us see the basics for the inflation. First, we should know what is inflation. So, inflation is a sustained increase, that is a gradual increase in the general price levels of the goods and services over a period of time, which can reduce the purchasing power of those goods and services that can be termed as their value and their availability to be bought. So looking into the types of inflation, there are few categories in it. First, based on causes or reasons. First is the reason of demand and pull. Here, when the demand is higher than the supply for any goods and services, prices will rise automatically, leading to inflation. Next is cost push inflation, where here the production cost of the goods, that is the wages, the raw materials prices rise, and due to which the whole price of the product and services rise, and at the end the price also rise. Next is the imported inflation. Here the prices are rising due to the imported goods, where due to changes such as geopolitical tensions and other depreciation in their amount, it leads to the pricing rise of those goods. So because of the value depreciation and along with other global changes, those imported goods would be having rise in their price levels. And next inflation type would be built-in inflation, where the workers demand higher wages and thus it increases the cost, as well as it increases the production costs, and ultimately it has a price increase. Now we have seen types of inflation based on causes. Now we'll see types of inflation based on the measurement. First is the retail inflation. Here prices changes at consumer levels, that can be goods used in the routinistic market such as the food, household products and so on. Next is the wholesale price inflation, where price changes at the wholesale level or at the bulk levels. Next is price food inflation, where the price changes in food items. And next is the core inflation, where it excludes volatile food and fuel such as the crude oil, crude oil, natural gas and volatile foods, and where it shows long term trends. And next type would be based on severity. First is the moderate inflation, where there is rise of gradual price rise, which can be below 10 percentage per year. Next is the galloping inflation, where there is double to triple digit price rise, which is above the 10%. And next is hyperinflation, which has extreme increase in the prices and there is uncontrolled price rise, which can be more than the double or the triple digit price. Now we have seen the types. Now we should be seeing how inflation is measured in India. First is through the consumer price index. Here retail inflation is being measured under the basket of goods and services provided. So basket of goods and services is a very casual economic term where it signifies goods and services of that particular year or any year which can be taken. Here it is measured by the National Statistical Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and it is measured monthly. Next is the wholesale price index. Here wholesale inflation is being taken into account where it involves bulk goods. It is measured by the Office of Economic Advisor and also by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and it is also taken every month. Next is food inflation. Here both the consumer price index food and wholesale price index food is being measured, and it is measured by both the NSO, that is National Statistical Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and Office of Economic Advisor, and again it is taken every. And next measurement would be the GDP deflator. Here it finds the ratio of the nominal GDP and real GDP. So nominal GDP can be taken as the GDP which is measured for the current market demand, and it doesn't take any inflation around that particular market period, whereas real GDP can be taken as the overall GDP where along with the base year it is being calculated taking the inflation into account, and it is compared with the prices from the base year, that is the constant prices from the base year. Now let us see what is monetary policy. So here the central bank has been using instruments or tools to regulate the interest rates, money supply and credit availability for macroeconomics, that is larger economical processes and objectives such as the price stability, growth and financial stability. So all of these comes under the monetary policy or monetary regulation. That is, here we can take inflation for example. So in inflation there is constant supply of money, and there are constant rising of the prices and decrease of the price, and it is all regulated under the monetary policy. So here our Reserve Bank of India uses the monetary tools to control the inflation and money supply and the growth, and they are the ultimate bank when it comes to the monetary policy for our country India. Now let us see the kinds of tools which is being used by the RBI to control the money supply, growth and their credit availability. First one will be the quantitative tools, which includes the repo rate. Here the RBI gives in the lending rate to the banks to get in loans. Whenever the repo rate is higher, it would be costly for the banks to get the loans, thus it reduces inflation and money supply. Next is reverse repo rate. Here banks deposit rate with the RBI, that is the rate at which the banks deposit money with the RBI. Higher the rate, it reduces the liquidity, that is the presence of money in the economy, and thus it controls the inflation. Next is the cash reserve ratio. Here it is the percentage of deposits that the banks keep with the RBI. Whenever the CRR is higher, it reduces the money supply ultimately. Next is the statutory liquidity ratio. Here it is the minimum percentage of deposits that the banks keep in the liquid assets, that is in the form of gold and bonds. So higher the SLR, it reduces the lending. And next is the open market operations. Here the RBI would be buying or selling the securities to control the money supply in the economy. Thus it controls the inflation. So these are the quantitative tools. Next is the qualitative tools. Here the type margin requirements is the minimum margin which is being kept by the RBI for loans for the banks to have a control in their credit availability. Next is moral suasion. Here RBI would be providing advices to the banks in terms of the lending policies. And next is the credit rationing. Here the RBI limits on banks to lend to certain sectors so that there is money control in the money supply also. So I hope the article is clear. Let us move on to a prelims practice question. Consider the following statements. Which of the statements given above are right and only third one is right? Here the Reserve Bank of India uses the repo rate as tool to control inflation. The second statement, wholesale price index excludes the prices of food and fuel items. No, the wholesale price index includes the prices of food and fuel items. It is only the core sector, that is sorry, the core inflation that would be excluding the prices of food and fuel items. The next, the consumer price index is measured by the Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce. No, we have seen it is measured by the NSO. Moving to the next article, title ONGC and the NTPC seals the 6,000 crore IANA deal. So here the news is that ONGC, that is the Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, as well as the NTPC, that is the National Thermal Protection Corporation, are joining in a joint venture project where they have sealed the deal in the IANA company, where they are known to be for a company which deals with projects of renewable energy and their assets related. So here the ONGC and the NTPC are providing 100% equity, that is full share, to buy or to own the assets of the IANA company. So here it stands as a largest deals in increasing the India's green energy production and their. So the ONGC, that is the Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, is a state owned oil company where it comes under the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, and the industry is under oil and gas. And the NTPC is a public sector company where it is owned by the government and it is known for their thermal production. So in light of this article, let us see a basics for the green energy sector. Now, what is green energy? Here it is the subset or a other branch of the concept of renewable energy. Here it is derived from the natural sources, as there is replenishment of non-renewable sources as it is faster than consumed. So it ultimately focuses on the sustainability and sustainable development. Here looking into the green energy sector, it is increasing rapidly. Here it is the sector associated with the green energy. So this sector is growing rapidly as because of their demand and need, and their focus is to develop and implement the sustainable energy. So according to the Energetica India magazine, which is one of the leading magazines related to clean energy and renewable energy, there has been a report where the energies green energy sector alone creates 3 plus million jobs by 2030. Now looking into few key components when it comes to the green sector, we need to understand certain concepts. First is the concept of renewable energy sources. So under green energy sector, there are few sources. First is the solar. It is the using of the solar energy through the photovoltaic cells or other concentrated solar power systems. Next is the wind energy, where there is using of the wind turbines to convert the kinetic energy into producing energy. Next is the hydropower energy, where there is hydropower resources, where there is usage of the waters through rivers, dams, oceans, tides and so on to produce energy. Next is the using of geothermal energy, where it is using the heat produced from the earth's inner core, and also which is used to produce electricity, as well as it is used to heating. Next is the use of biomass resources, where it uses the waste from the organic materials to produce energy. And next is the ocean sources of renewable energy, where it uses the water from the oceans and tides for producing energy. Next is the concept of energy efficiency, where there is production of renewable energy uh, through these resources and other clean energy, and thus it brings in the idea of reducing the consumption and wastage of those energies. Next is energy storage. Here the energy produced by the renewable resources need to be stored properly, as there is an issue of intermittency, that is not having consistent production, as these natural resources can't be dependent every time. Storage facilities like the batteries or pumped hydro storage can be helped in to restore the renewable sources through which the energy being produced. Next is having smart grids. Here there are modernized smart grids for the energy management, where there is integration of both the renewable energy and thus there is electricity produced. And next is the sustainable transportation. Here along with the integration of the renewable sources, there is production of the electric vehicles, there are production of hydrogen fuel cells. So the green hydrogen company sector, as well as the green sector in wholes, brings in the idea of sustainable development, and there is sustainable transportation. So there is flow circle of money which can be both in sustainability as well as in for profit and production possibility. Looking into the benefits of green energy, first ultimately it brings in the environmental protection, it reduces the emissions and pollutions and along with the water pollutions. Next is the energy security. Here there is diversification and there is reducing of the dependence on the foreign countries for oil and natural gas. Next is increase of the public health. Due to their sustainability nature, there is improved health systems through their improved air quality, where the coals and fuels have been mostly used for their air pollution. And next is ultimately having economic growth, whereas there is job creation. Now looking into this deal, first the ONGC is trying to expand their clean energy assets, where they are in particular in attaining the clean energy assets throughout the state or throughout the uh, places where there's scope for attainment of green energy production. And the NTPC is having their aim on India's largest power producer, where they are known to own 14.69 gigawatts of renewable energy as their portfolio, and 11 gigawatt are under implementation. And looking into their larger perspectives, they align with the idea of bringing in the net zero emission by the year of 2038 by the ONGC, and by the NTPC their aim is to bring in net zero emission by the year of 2050. So ultimately the objective when it comes to the future growth is to increase their portfolio and at the same time increase the renewable energy as well as the clean energy expansion. Looking into other initiatives which support the green energy, first is the net zero emission by 2070 altogether by India. Next is the green hydrogen missions, where there is aim of producing 5 million metric tons by 2030 of the green hydrogen. Next is the scheme of PM Kusum, where uh, solar pumps are provided for the farmers. Then there is increase and involvement of the research and development focus, where facilities for the advanced storage, green hydrogen energy sectors are given importance. And there is 100% FDI which is allowed in renewable energy generation for other foreign company investors to invest in our country India. So I hope the concept is clear. Now let us move on to a prelims question. Here, which of the statement are correct? So here only statement 1 is correct. PM Kusum scheme supports farmers in installing solar pumps and generating solar power for the agriculture needs, which is correct. PM Kusum scheme help farmers to get more profit by eliminating the intermediaries, which is wrong. Now next article titled India's natural gas demand has jumped to 60% by 2030, and this report is by the International Energy Agency. Here we can see, according to the IEA's estimate, India's gas consumption is seen rising nearly 60% over 2023 levels in 103 billion cubic meters. Whereas the LNG reports are said to more than double between the 2023 to 2030 to 65 billion cubic meters a year. which is driven by steady demand growth and a slow rise in the domestic production. So in light of this article, let us see the basics of the International Energy Agency. So International Energy Agency was established on the year 1973. So it is established under the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, where this was created in response to the 1973 to 1974 oil crisis. So the focus or the objective of the International Energy Agency is to increase the energy security of the society, and next is to ultimately increase the economic development and the clean energy production. Looking into their role, they are an autonomous organization where they deal with analysis of the data, then data recognition and other policy recommendations for the improvement of the energy sector, economic development, as well as the increasing the clean energy sector. So their headquarters are in Paris of France. And looking into their membership, anyone getting into the International Energy Agency must be a OECD member, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So in International Energy Agency, there are 31 members and 13 associates, which includes India. They are not permanent members, but they are known to be as key partners who are very efficient in many major decisions taken by the agency, and 4 countries which are as a member through the process of accession, that is through the legal procedures. Now looking into the International Energy Agency key focus area, first is the energy security, next is to increase the economic development, next is to bring in environmental awareness through their adherence to the sustainability projects and development, and finally bringing in a global engagement. So looking into international agencies, energy agency major publications, they are known to for launching the many important reports such as the World Energy Outlook, which has been highly recognized, and other reports such as India Energy Outlook Report, World Energy Investment Report, Technology Roadmaps, Annual Energy Efficiency Market Report, and Energy Technology Perspectives. So all of these reports align with the focus area of energy security, technology development, economic development, sustainability process, and other global cooperation and engagement. Now looking into what is found in the article here, according to the report, that is the article, in India's natural gas sector, the key findings are the consumption are to rise to almost 60% by 2030, and the LNG imports, that is the liquefied natural gases, where the natural gases are converted to liquid, are having their double of rise by 2030 from 2023 in their imports. So here the key demand sectors such as the city gas distribution, such as the industry and the power generation are having scope to increase. So the difference between the natural gas or compressed natural gas and the liquid natural gas is that they are in the gas form and they are in the liquid form. So here the compressed natural gas or natural gas are transported only through pipelines, but here the scope of transporting the liquid natural gas is vast. They can be transported through containers and so on. So here it has the restriction of only two regional places, but here it can operate through almost larger areas. Now looking into India's natural gas challenge, first is pricing regulation. Here the IEA recommends to bring in a deregulation of the prices in the supply. So ultimately it brings in a supply security, that is to ensure uninterrupted supply, and having a deregulation, that is a price deregulation in the gas infrastructure. So here such as the pipelines, storage and other import facilities. And also here, according to the article, targeted strategies and policy interventions can be made to boost the gas consumption beyond the forecasted trajectory to around 120 billion cubic metrics per year by 2030, which is close to the current gas consumption of the entire continent of South America. So here policy intervention can be taken as a great challenge when it comes to the India's natural gas. So, according to the IEA's policy recommendations, there is encouragement of other private investors or sector to participate, and all of the deregulation of prices and increasing infrastructure and having the potential of their consumption. Now, looking into the initiatives for natural gases in India, first is the national gas grid, increasing the gas pipeline network across India. Next is the hydrogen mission, here including clean energy plus the green hydrogen for their production and increase. Next is the city gas distribution, that is the CGN, where there is expansion of both pipeline natural gas as well as the compressed natural gas, especially for regional areas such as the cities and the urbans. And next is the LNG import terminal capacity increase, that is the liquefied natural gas import terminal capacity increase, especially for the running demand. So I hope the article is clear, and let us see a prelims question. Which of the statements given are correct? And here it is only option 1. So here the IEA was established in response to the 1973 to 74 oil crisis. The second option, membership of the IEA is open to all countries. No, it is open to countries only who are members of the OECD, regardless of OECD membership, which is no. And India is a full member of IEA. No, India is a associate member. So, looking into the last article titled End Reactors, Missiles, Engines, India and France Deepen Ties. So, here the article discusses about deepening the strategical strength of India as well as the France. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and France President Mr. Emmanuel Macron had hold talks on boarding the presidential aircrafts, and also other important discussions such as the nuclear energy, defense mechanisms and other industrial production are being in talks. So, in light of this article, let us see the basics for the France. So, here looking in the France overview, they are located totally on the Western Europe, and looking into their size, it is one of the largest and most influential countries in the Europe. And looking into their geographical features, they are diverse in their physiography, especially mountains, plains, and having a large of river basins and rivers. Looking into the economic legacy, they have rich historical and a lot of economic significant places. So, looking into their location and borders, having the latitude and longitudinal positions, they are placed in the 41° north to 51° north in latitude, and 5° west to 9° east in the longitude. Having their borders in the north, they are placed. They have borders from the Belgium and Luxembourg, and in the east they have borders with Germany, Switzerland, and Italy. So here is Luxembourg, and this is the Germany. In the south, they have borders with Spain and Andorra, and in the west, they have borders with the Atlantic Ocean. So here they, looking into the water bodies, they are separated from the United Kingdom through the English Channel present here, and they have the Bay of Biscay, and also they have borders with the Mediterranean Sea. And also looking into their overseas territories, so this is the map for the overseas territories. When it comes to the Caribbean islands, the Guadeloupe and Martinique are present here. And looking into the Indian Ocean, the Reunion and the Mayotte Islands are present here as the overseas territories. And in the Pacific Ocean, the overseas territories are present here, which is the French Polynesian and the New Caledonia. So these are the overseas territories and their map. So looking into their physiography and their topography, they have diverse features such as the mountains, river valleys, coastal plains and plateaus. Major mountain ranges would be the Alps, which is in the southeast of France, and it has boundary with the Italy, then the Mount Blanc, and it has a lot of scope on the sectors such as tourism, hydroelectric powers and so on. Next mountain range would be Pyrenees, which is France and Spain border. It has a rugged terrain. Next is the massive Central, which is a volcanic plateau, and it is rich in minerals and other and it produces geothermal energy. Next is the Jura Mountains. Here it has border with the France and Switzerland, and it is rich in limestone plateaus and other features such as caves. Next is the Vosges Mountains, which has borders in the northeast of France, which is near the Germany, where there is dense forest and rolling hills. So here we can see the mountain feature of Pyrenees. Here the massive central. Next is the Alps. Next is the Jura Mountains, Vosges Mountain. And in looking into the important rivers, the Seine River, it flows through Paris and drains into the English Channel. We can see here it drains in the English Channel. Next is the Loire River, which is longest in France, and it is almost fertile in nature, and it has agricultural lands in demand. This is the place. And next is Rhone River. Here it originates in the Swiss Alp mountain and flows into the Mediterranean Sea. This is the Rhone River, and it has its discharge in the Mediterranean Sea. Next is the Garonne River. It rises in Spain and flows through the southwestern of France. This is the Garonne River, and here we can see the origin. Next is the Meuse and Moselle rivers. It flows into Belgium and Germany. So looking into their climate, according to the Köppen's classification, where it is divided into the Earth is divided into 5 climatic conditions, that is A, B, C, D and E. A is tropical, B is arid or dry, C is temperate, D is continental and E is polar. So they'd be having around C and D here. They are known to have marine west coast, where the northwestern France have mild and cold summers and cool winters. Next is they have continental they have in the eastern and northeast France, they have cold winters and warm summers. In the Mediterranean part of the France, that is the southern France, they have hot summers and mild winters. And looking into the mountain areas such as the Alps and Pyrenees, they have heavy snowfall with winter sports. Looking into the economic overview, in agriculture, they are the largest producer in Europe. In the major crops such as wheat, barley, maize, potatoes, and sugar beets, they have a larger contribution in their production. They are known for their wine production such as champagne and so on. And looking into the dairy farming, they are known for their cheese production, and these are the landmark famous cheese types of cheeses that they produce. And looking into the industry and manufacturing sector, they are known for their automobile, aerospace, luxury goods such as Louis Vuitton. And looking into the nuclear power, they have 70% of the electricity production, and they are known for having a larger tourism. They are one of the most visited country globally. We know a lot of attractions such as the Eiffel Tower and so on, and they are known for their winter tourism as well for their mountain ranges. Looking into the trade and global influence, in membership, they are having membership in G7, G20, European Union and in the NATO, bringing in their global presence. Next is major exports, machinery, aircraft, chemical, wines and perfumes, and having the economic ties such as the Germany, China, USA, India and UK. Then looking into the strategic importance, they are big part of the Indo-Pacific strategy. Then they are part of the UN Security Council as a permanent member, having their global diplomacy, and they are one of the pioneers when it comes to the climate leadership, such as it supports the Paris Agreement. And having their defense partnerships, in India they are known for their contributions such as the Rafale jets and submarines. So I hope the article is clear. Let's look into a mains question. Which of the following countries share a land border with France? And the correct option is 1, 3 and 4. That is the Belgium, Germany and Switzerland, and not the Netherlands. I hope that you guys are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give like, comment and a share. And to further not to miss any other contents, subscribe to our channel. Thank you and have a nice day.